Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541 or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the main and second watches, today, is Jamaica becoming increasingly lawless? For our Facebook question, we ask, what are the reasons for the seeming increasing lawlessness in the Jamaican society? Share your response in our Facebook page, Love 101 FM, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on in the program, but first, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote, religion can be one of the greatest impediments to finding God. Annie Graham Lotz.
Interesting indeed. Interesting. The main watch will be back after this break.
I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man.
Man and man, does your partner restrict you from using your own money? And when you do, they want you to feel bad about it? Does your partner open credit cards accounts in your name and you have no knowledge about it? Does your partner request that you should meet all her financial obligations, or does she speak down to you because of your job choice or career? Well, it sounds like the man them are being financially abused. And the only way to find out what that is, what it looks like, and how to overcome it is simply by not missing the mailbox this Wednesday, April 14 at 5:30 p.m. inside the program Designed for Men, as we take a look at the financially abused man.
That's the mailbox, the program designed for men, with hosts who are men and with guests who are men. It happens this and every Wednesday with yours truly, Courtney Morrison and Kevin Bailey, here on Love 101, the family station, Monday.
Here is a reminder from Love 101, the family station. As we face the COVID-19 pandemic, be kind to address stigma during this pandemic. Share the latest facts and avoid exaggerating stories. Show solidarity with affected persons and tell the stories of persons who have experienced the virus. I am Kimberly Levy from Love 101, reminding you to protect yourself while protecting others. Stay safe and keep it locked on Love 101. The family station.
Does your spouse get angry when you tell him or her that they have hurt your feelings? Does your partner take pleasure in making you cry? Are you a victim of mistreatment within your marriage? Does the mistreatment lead to threats and then physical abuse? Well, you may desire to get back at your spouse, but we want to help you repair rather than destroy your marriage. So be sure to tune in this Thursday, April 15 at 5:30 p.m. inside the truly marvelous program To Have and To Hold, as we take a look at why do we retaliate in our marriage. Ensure you grab a pen and paper as host Colleen Beckles and guest counseling psychologist Andre Allen Casey identify damaging practices of your marriage, why you shouldn't retaliate in your marriage, and how worse can retaliation in your marriage become. You can't afford to miss all this information inside the truly marvelous program that's designed to have and to hold marriages. And it happens this and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. here on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. Now, it has been a recurring headline for several years, and the concern is that there is increasing lawlessness in Jamaica. From murder to corruption, the level of occurrence is deeply troubling and has many feeling quite vulnerable. We have recent reports in more than one daily major newspaper in relation to this very same matter. And the lack of any discernible strategy to stem the tide isn't helping. And maybe it's because we don't know what is causing the lawlessness. Maybe it's really not increasing. Maybe it's just that it's being more widely reported, or that persons are becoming more brazen with their evil deeds now than in past decades. With us today to have a conversation and a discussion around this, we have Bishop Conrad Pitkin, the Custos of St. James, and the senior pastor of Faith Temple Assembly of God. In addition, we have Richard Dickie Crawford, social and political commentator, as well as Carlos Gray, a social commentator and a vlogger. He's a Jamaican living in the United States of America, and he's also a musical artist. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
You know, I'm going to, first of all, how did we get here? Bishop Pitkin, why do you think Jamaica, unfortunately, Bishop isn't on us yet. Mr. Crawford.
Yes, sir. Morning to you.
I don't know if you saw the recent headlines in Loop News, for example, in relation to the increasing lawlessness in Jamaica. How did we get here? How did we get here, Mr. Crawford?
Well, first of all, there was a rather long process that brought us here. Similar over the years, but unfortunately, what has resulted in your provocative headline and statements this morning, very touching and very real. Basically, Jamaica is in this position because the history shows that the structure of our society, that every major aspect of our society, the economy, social life, and all of these factors have, over a period of time, they have not really changed. And when I say they have not changed, let's just very quickly remember 1938 when we had Caribbean-wide rebellions against colonial rule. And then shortly after that, in 1944, Jamaica went into the two-party political system. And then we became independent in 1962, but here's the real problem. We became independent, so to speak, in a colonial matrix which has lasted up to this day. The country has been divided politically between the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, the main sources of our government. And today, we are reaping the whirlwind of this unfortunate system, which we only speak about, we dither over it. We essentially, though, still have it in effect. This is the real problem of this country. So, what we have, 40% of the people living on the poverty line in Jamaica, 50% of the population essentially crowded in a space between Maypen and Harbour View. People living in dilapidated shacks that were here when Lord Boyne came in 1938. Every day they catch fire. So basically, next to impossible, and that's why Loop News is saying what it is saying, and that's why it is coming out openly now as more people resort or cannot take the pressure any longer and have to call for dealing with this problem. So our history has subscribed us or has kept us in a system of government, which is most unfortunate.
In fact, I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford.
Yeah. In fact, as you remember, Stokeley, police that we have in Jamaica was actually formed to protect the property of the colonial masters against the slaves who were constantly rebelling. And I think if you examine the training program of the police, you'll see where all those shortcomings are and why we are where we are. But we are at a stage now where the head of the narcotics division of the very police force of which we speak has indicated to us openly that it is virtually hopeless as a cabal, a group of people, are in charge of the cocaine trafficking business in this country. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of clothes, they have a lot of everything. Now, when somebody of that nature can make a statement like that, it only makes us understand how serious the situation is at this point in time. And it has become worse in recent times. And it will become unbearable. It is already unbearable. It will become even worse if we don't find a way to solve this very serious problem.
In fact, there's also reference to a similar headline in the Jamaica Observer, the deteriorating state of lawlessness in Jamaica. And although those statements were made against the backdrop of the comments of the People's National Party, this is not a political discussion this morning. This is a Jamaica discussion. In fact, I'm sure many persons, Mr. Crawford, will observe what you would have heard what you have said this morning and would be in total agreement. Bishop Conrad Pitkin, good morning, sir. Bishop.
Good morning. Good morning, Stokeley. Good morning to your panelists and your viewers and listeners.
Good morning.
Sir, we were looking at the matter of how did we get here. Any comments, sir, before we head to the break? And so sorry that you were only now just able to join us on air.
Yes. No, well, I'll wait because I just came on, so I need to equip myself.
Understood, sir. Mr. Gray, Carlos Gray, a Jamaican living in the United States of America. You're also a musical artist and you're a vlogger. Any comment before we have to break in a few seconds?
Yes. I think it all starts from this. We have to be honest with ourselves. There's a saying that if you spit in the sky, it falls in your eye. As a human being, we know that no wrong that we do on this earth, we can get away from it. And what is going on now in Jamaica is that the fowlers is coming on to roost. So it's all the wrongs accumulating that is causing this stuff. A second reason is you have influential voices in Jamaica years back. I've been paying attention to them, being on the social media scene. I've been talking to people, arguing with people on social media. Some people tell me that there's no God, there's no Jesus, there's no that. Influencing the youth and telling that there's no God in Jamaica. And there's nothing to replace God with. So when they tell these youth that there's no God, so most of the youth have stopped going to church. There's no conviction. There's, somebody can lie and steal and do anything, and there's nothing in their heart to convict them and let them feel bad about it. What kind of generation do you think we're gonna have? It's a lot of different reasons for us to be here. First, we start from top. We have to clean the house from top. When we're talking about corruption and crime and all this stuff, those have to be fixed from top. When you're putting people in a position of power and trust and power, you have to have people who are sterilized, people who are clean people. You cannot tell somebody below you to be clean when they're looking up at you in corruption. So once you clean upstairs and you clean, all the way down, then the youth in the ghetto, you and I can say, oh, these guys not joking. If they're doing that to this guy up top, what they're going to do to us next? Let's set ourselves in line. You understand me? So a lot of stuff
I
needs to
want
be
to
fixed.
return, Mr. Gray. I want to return to some of those comments after the break. We're going to head to a break now, but hold those thoughts, Mr. Gray. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Jamaica Banana Board, Green Gold, Life Health, and the Environment. The time brought to you by the Jamaica Banana Board is
7:16.
Entrepreneurs, now you've got more support in your corner. Introducing Sagicor Bank Business Resource Center, where entrepreneurs benefit from free training in business management, financial support and guidance from pros, as well as research capabilities. Sagicor Bank, in partnership with the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, brings you this first center of its kind for small entrepreneurs to develop and grow. Let's help you take your business to the next level of success. Contact Sagicor Bank Business Resource Center today. WhatsApp 876-997-3745.
Hey babe, so about that date we planned?
Remember bro G said no movement enough.
Yeah, but what if we set up a video call on BIP and binge movies together on Playgo instead?
Yeah man, especially cause BIP video call no flow slow.
I know, right? Plus, we can add up to 8 people on the video call.
Even was like a virtual party. Hey, my D music playlist well hot enough.
Beat Lockdown Blues with Digicel lifestyle apps and dedicated data from your Digicel Prime bundle. Download and activate in the My Digicel app today. Digicel, better together.
Nation,
Rain or shine, any weather. When we go bold, we go virtual. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go bold, we go virtual. Let your imagination run free. Pick a color, any color for the space what you need. When we say it bold, that mean it not peel. Quality in every color, 7-year guarantee. When we go bold, we go virtual. Watch your color. When we go bold, we go virtual. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go bold, we go virtual.
You are the buzz, 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 buzz. You are the zing, 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 zing. You are the you are the click, 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 click. You are the pop, pop, pop. You are the I in Jamaica. So keep fizzing for the love of it. Pepsi.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile. Cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. For both the main watch and the second watch today, we're looking at, is Jamaica becoming increasingly lawless? And our guests for this entire discussion, we have Bishop Conrad Pitkin, Custis of St. James, and Senior Pastor of Faith Temple Assembly of God. We also have Richard Dickie Crawford, social and political commentator, and Carlos Gray, social commentator, vlogger, a Jamaican living in the United States of America, and a musical artist. Mr. Gray, just before the break, you were making a point. Please continue. And there is something about one of your songs I want to ask you about. Please continue, sir.
Okay. You know, I'll start from saying that we cannot run from the wrong. Nobody, no, you, me, everybody. Maybe myself right now is paying for some wrong that I've done on this earth. Even our ancestors, because they said the sin of the peers visit the first, second, and third generation. Even ancestors we don't even know. Some of us are paying for their crime right now, right? So we cannot run from no wrong that we do on this earth. So we have to start. Let's start from cleaning house now in Jamaica. Ever since I was a young man, I'm born and come see this, right, in Jamaica. Corrupt politician leading the people. I used to be one of them guys who used to go out and give a simple example. I used to go out on the motorcade with politicians, and then motorcade, I used to see thugs on the motorcade, weapon on the motorcade, politician out there, police know that bad man have weapon out there on the motorcade. Even more today, more so today, because there are bigger weapons, and there are more weapons in the country, even more than what the police have. After that election, what happened? The politician is not going to point no finger, say, hey, Carlos have a gun, go and get him. So corruption have to be clean from the top so we can have a nice, sterilized country. You them need to know that God is real. God is real. This is no fake thing. God is real. And how we were raised, the last generation is basically my generation are the one that follows, because these youths don't know that more of God nowadays. If you notice, and most of them don't go to church. So when they have a population of youth, that generation is coming up, who don't know about God, no relationship whatsoever. What do you think gonna happen? But check this out. Some of the artists them tell them say, no God not there. Don't listen to them because them read some books and them brand new, them so woke, them have some new education, a new phone thing. No think about God, no God not there. But they want to replace that with the gun music, the gun, the devil thing, and everything. Even hear people talking about Illuminati and God ring in music. And the youths are soaking it up like sponge. Whatever we do wrong on this earth, my brother, we cannot get away from it.
I want to quickly ask you this, Carlos. In fact, you said you touched a number of points there, but in one of the songs in which you did, it's on YouTube. Your name is listed there along with another name. What's Wrong with Us? That is the title of the song. What's Wrong with Us? And one of the things you say as the song is starting, one of the first sets of words you use is something about putting down the gun, my youth. Mm-hmm. What inspired you? I'm paraphrasing. What inspired you to do this song? And is it your experience? Is it what you saw? Is it what you still see? Why did you do this song?
Well, I used to be on the road. I used to be a DJ in Jamaica. And the singer in that song is my brother, my blood brother, Carlton Gray. His name is Keyboard. Right? And I wrote that song. I sang that song before, and then I have my brother, because he's a really good singer. I sent it to Jamaica to him and tell him, say, sing that part over. The influence behind that song is I was raised, like I said, as a DJ going to dance hall. I used to have a lot of youngsters behind me, a lot of young men. We didn't have cars, we didn't have bikes. We used to walk. Many times we come from dance, a pure ticks there all of us. So we grew up with a lot of youths, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've seen all these things around me. I've seen a lot of things around me. So I know the street. So and when I see how Jamaica is changing, these youths are just like they don't. When I see people, the type of gruesome killing that you hear in the songs in Jamaica, in the music, you see in the youths them carrying it out in real life. Everything you hear the artists them saying it. The youth are acting it out. You have artists saying that, hey, if you murder people at night, basically you are a punk or something like that. You're a rookie, right? You're a coward. You understand? So what you see the youths are doing now, even middle day time, you see them come out with the big gun. News guy telling people that murder old people and baby and pastor in the church, don't care who you murder. But what you see the youth are doing now, so I decided, say, I look at my country changed so much. Never ask the question, what's really wrong with Jamaica? And I'm sure you guys get up every day yourself. I'm going to see the news and ask, what happened to us? You know, so it's the same question on everybody's mind. I decided to put it in a song, and the song I'm talking to the youths, because I always do video directed at the youths, talking directly to the youths. So if you hear me song, say, little youth make you cool, so little youth that me know a long time, can't believe you are roll, so out of control, so little youth will take your life. They're no business if you're young or you're old, so youth make you bold, so all in the middle day I run out with the long pole, so take me bill pole now. Nobody pull me up a hole. Maybe go and play the role. Maybe do as you're told. You know, so the little
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gray. You have said so much. It's one of those mornings here on the Morning Watch where, you know, I'm almost transfixed by some of what you're saying, sir, because it is so true. And just hearing you utter those words, sir, it is really Bishop Conrad Pitkin. Any comments? Because I feel
morning again, man.
Morning again, so I feel like I'm almost lost for words by this discussion this morning. So much that Mr. Gray has said, and we have also heard from Mr. Crawford. Your thoughts, sir. How did you get here?
I came in on the back end of Dickie's statement, so I didn't get to hear him. I heard Carlos, a mouthful, and it touched on some salient points. I don't know that Jamaica is getting more lawless. I know that there's a proliferation of social media and access to social media. So things that we could not hear before, not see before, we are hearing and we are seeing now. I think we are dealing with the symptoms and not with the cause. And we talk more than we act. We seem to be more reactionary than we being proactive. Values and attitudes are falling down nowhere. And it comes back to part of what Carla said, that there's a lack of religious or Christian reinforcement, especially in our young people. We talk about what we will do, but we are not doing what we are supposed to do. And so we treat the symptoms, but we are not treating the cause. I have said, I think it was early last year, that corruption runs deep in our society. And because of that, we're having the problems that we see today. Corruption and crime. This is what I said. Corruption and crime are twin brothers. They work together. And so we must go to the root cause to address corruption. Then we can address crime. We must go back to behavioral modification, and that must start with our children. Someone said to me last week, what are we going to do? I said, we have been talking about 2 generations ago that we need to reach and modify the behavior of our youth. 2 generations ago, we have not done it. And after this present generation, we're going to be saying the same thing again, all over. We see, and as he said, and it's so true, violence in our music. The things that we do, young people are looking at it. And let us not shy away from the fact that there are a lot of hurting people in Jamaica, a lot of hurting young men and young women in this country. Some who have seen their father, mother, sister, grandmother gunned down viciously in their very eyes. They were never they never receive any kind of therapy, no counseling, no nothing. You hear that it is going to be done, but was never done. And those hurts are coming forward now. And it would appear that this group of young generation, both men and women, would seem to be more vicious, would seem to be more barefaced, would seem as if they will stop at nothing. But until we can get to the root cause and treat the root cause, which is get back to teaching values and attitude in our schools, in our home, because whatever we do, Stokeley, remember the home is important. You can teach in the church values. You can go to school and teach values, but they're going back to that same home, how we address the parents and the training in the home. And I am no social scientist, but I want to say this morning that godliness is important, a part of the teaching that will bring this nation, our youth, our people back to some semblance of decency, is to teach them the importance of godliness and the importance of having right values and attitudes and outlook towards life. It is important.
Bishop, we're upon a break, but we want to hear some more of what you're saying after the break. Mr. Crawford and Mr. Gray will be back with you shortly. Listeners, the Morning Watch will be right back after this break.
JN Bank Live Online Banking is your quick and easy banking that's safe and secure. Sign up today. Visit jnbank.com. JN Bank will help you find a way. The time is
7:31, folks, on the Sound of Love.
You know how Jamaican people do everything extra, right? So why should planning your retirement be any different? Introducing JNGI Silver Shield. 2-in-1 coverage for motor vehicle and home including contents. See? Extra! Imagine 25% JN member discount, emergency roadside assistance, accident forgiveness up to $1 million and more. JNGI Silver Shield. Exclusively for members of the Caribbean community of retired persons. Visit jngi.com. JNGI. We'll help you find a way. A member of the JN Group.
You are the buzz, 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 buzz. You are the zing, 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 zing. You are the you are the click, click, click. You are the pop, pop, pop. You are the I in Jamaica. So keep fizzing for the love of it. Pepsi.
We working on a brighter day, you don't have to fret. You know your family secure, you don't need no stress. It's like you run a 5K, set the pace, win the race, celebrate, and you still never bust no sweat. See we brother and we sister, this is how we heal them. Easy now, you and Guardian Life, it's a nation we're building. Many hearts, but we all want the same thing. Live secure and live easy.
There are a million reasons to want to own a home.
I want more space for the children.
I am tired of paying rent.
My wife and I want an investment.
Go from future plans to keys in hand with an NCB mortgage. Get rates as low as 6.95%, 100% financing, and up to 40 years to repay. Plus, get the life insurance and home insurance you need all in one place. Visit myhome.jncb.com to get started. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We continue to look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we firstly turn to the Jamaica Gleaner to see what is the latest in the news. And what we have here: Speaker blocks attempts to suspend MP in assault case. Another story here: UWI extends application deadline. And another one: tightened weekend curfews. And we now turn to the Jamaica Observer. And in the Jamaica Observer today, we have a number of stories, one of which is, and I'm just, the online version of it is taking a little bit longer this morning to load than it normally would. Yes, here we go. In the Jamaica Observer today. One moment, listeners, as the technology, whilst we are moving more into an online space, sometimes there are challenges with the technology. CMU mourns 20-year-old student killed in highway crash. Another one here: rising hopes, lingering questions in cruise sector comeback. And another one: Health Ministry boosts public education on cervical cancer. And coming up next, we'll read through some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is: what are the reasons for the seeming increasing lawlessness in Jamaican society? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man.
Man and man, does your partner restrict you from using your own money? And when you do, they want you to feel bad about it? Does your partner open credit cards accounts in your name and you have no knowledge about it? Does your partner request that you should meet all her financial obligations, or does she speak down to you because of your job choice or career? Well, it sounds like the man them are being financially abused. And the only way to find out what that is, what it looks like, and how to overcome it is simply by not missing the mailbox this Wednesday, April 14 at 5:30 p.m. inside the program Designed for Men as we take a look at the financially abused man.
That's the mailbox, the program designed for men, with hosts who are men and with guests who are men. It happens this and every Wednesday with yours truly, Courtney Morrison and Kevin Daly, here on Love 101, the family station, Monday.
Welcome back. You're tuned to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Siobhan for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. What are the reasons for the seeming increasing lawlessness in the Jamaican society, Siobhan?
All right, some comments here. Let me quickly go through some. This one says, when children lose respect for parents, then the children rule the household. Similarly, when citizens lose respect for authority, then the society breaks down. When the homes and the authorities display the proper attitudes and values, then everything will fall in place. We simply need role models for each generation. Let me see what this comment says. This one says, real talk by Speaker Carlos. Corruption at the highest level, especially politically. Additionally, the extradition of criminals from their learned high-tech criminal experiences by those developed countries launched on us by those selfish countries instead of trials and charges there. Another one says there is a great perception that there is no justice, so persons take issues with into their own hands. Then we have more, a less society for the most part in our younger generation. Ultimately, no fear for and of God. Let me see if there is another. This one says Christ is out of the family. All right, keep the conversation going, folks. I think I'll leave it.
Most definitely, Siobhan. Most definitely. We continue our discussion on the question, is Jamaica becoming increasingly lawless? Our guests are Bishop Conrad Pitkin, Custis of St. James, Senior Pastor of Faith Temple Assembly of God. Richard Dickie Crawford, social and political commentator, and Carlos Gray, social commentator, blogger, a Jamaican living in the United States of America, and a musical artist. Bishop Pitkin, just before the break, you were making some extremely valid points. One of the things, Sunday school, a lot of children, well, more so now with the restrictions, but Sunday school, even before the restrictions, would you agree that many children in communities were not attending Sunday school anymore, either because their parents don't attend church, or the parents, even if they don't attend church, had kind of stopped sending many of these children to Sunday school? Bishop Pitkin?
That's a fact. Sunday school, Sabbath school, you've hit the target. In time past, even if parents did not go to church, they would send their children to church and to Sunday school. The grandmother, the aunt, or the uncle. School, yes, that extended family, and that's something that we do not have in Jamaica any longer, to any great extent. Stokeley, the extended family. I grew up in an extended family where, I was raised by my grandma and my grandfather with my uncles and aunts around. You don't have that anymore. You have the nuclear family now, just mother, father, and children. And most of our parents are young persons who themselves, by and large, need parenting. And so there's where, if you have a breakdown in family, remember, strong family builds strong churches. Strong churches build strong nation. So you cannot take away the responsibility that must be at the family from the family, right? No sociologist, no psychologist, no educator can educate a child properly without the help of the family. and we do not have that anymore. We have the extended family, where grandmother with strong values, uncles, aunts, grandpa with strong values, Christian values, strong principles, strong ethical principles of life, can pass them on to children and to grandchildren. So you find that you're having the gap there that needs to be mended. And until we can do that, until we can bring back, until we can start behavioral modification, until we can somehow find a way in the education system to deal with these issues, bring the parents in, right, as partners in this process, we are not going to see the desired change. Until we see a strong effort to move away from corruption, you're not going to have a difference in crime, right? We must hit corruption head on, right, and call it out for what it is wherever it may be found, whether it be in church, in government, in public life, wherever it is, we need to deal with it.
Understood. In fact, I do recall when I was growing up at one point, we lived with our grandparents, and I remember my grandfather in particular, he hardly spoke. He wasn't a talkative person, but no matter what you were doing, every Saturday at about 12 o'clock, you had to drop what you were doing and go and sit around the table or sit in the living room or wherever it was in that living area and listen to him when you read the Bible. Every Saturday at about midday. No matter what you were doing, you had to stop, put it down, go, and all the relevant grandchildren sat there and listened to him read the Bible, and he would do a kind of devotion. And I really just sat there and didn't really respond. But I remember those times, even in my adulthood, even today, I remember those moments. He was a very strong Baptist Christian man. I remember him very much for that. Just for that alone, I remember him.
Very important.
Very important. To this day, I remember that entire what he did. Mr. Crawford, any comments, sir? Because clearly there's a matter of values and attitudes that is so relevant to us, which is it that it's not being reinforced? It's missing. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, as you all three of you have so eloquently put it, the values and attitudes of the past had a profound effect on our development or family life. What has happened in recent times, of course, is this great conflict in society as we have become more modernized, as they put it, more technologically reliant, and it's going to get worse because those who control society at various levels, that's all that they are interested in. If you look at the fact that the IMF and others will tell you that basically 90% of the world, its resources and its methodology and its way of life is controlled and influenced by 1% of the population, the extra wealthy, who have no other reason for their existence but to accumulate wealth beyond belief. This is a conflict this is a conflictual society in which we live. Carl Stone used to say, and he's right, up on campus we used to talk about this, and it has not been proven wrong. The structure of a society, its institutions and everything, is what develops the values and attitudes in that society. So sometimes we wonder, why is it that the Pacific Isles, where the people live a rather ordinary life, why are they so peaceful and happy? As opposed to the people in Kingston, Jamaica, who we would like to say is a modern society, more Mercedes-Benzes and fancy cars and things found on the streets of Jamaica. It's almost unbelievable.
More than many other countries.
More than we have it, and the result can be compared and tabulated. Also, because of that now, the new outlook puts us at the top of the list of corrupt countries, and we have one of the highest murder rates in the world. Goodness gracious.
Hold that thought,
Obvious.
Mr. Crawford, because we're upon another break. We'll be right
Okay.
back on the Morning Watch. Stay with us.
The time by the Ministry of Health, Healthy People, Healthy Environment is
7:46.
JN Money Card. Send the money. More withdraw in a hurry. JN Money Card free. With your TRN and your ID. And when me no walk with cash, me just swipe like that. From abroad to card. Get the JN Money Card. It's safe, convenient, and free. JN Money Card sent from abroad. JN Money Card.
Available at JN Money locations across Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Jamaica. Our way of life is being affected, but our path to progress is not. Flow has continued to build its network infrastructure to prepare for times like these, to ensure that your connections to everything important are strong and reliable. And if you are a current Flow Home Service customer, upgraded services may be available in your area. Learning from home is smarter, and working from home is stronger than ever. I am Stephen Price, Country Manager of Flow, and this is our commitment. The strength of the Flow network is yours and ready when you need it. Visit your nearest Flow store or discoverflow.co. It is our privilege to serve you.
Bear with each other and forgive as the Lord forgave you. So says Colossians 3:13. Try showing love to one another. See how much better that feels? Let's work together to make Jamaica a gentler, kinder society. A message from the Church of the Open Bible, 12 Washington Boulevard. Join in our worship service Sundays at 8 a.m. right here on Love 101.
Tropical race 4 disease, TR4, is a soil-borne disease that has the potential to wipe out the Jamaican banana and plantain crops. Farmers and visitors must disinfect shoes and tools before entering farms daily. If your banana or plantain crops seem to be wilting, call the Banana Board at 876-922-5490 or 876-922-4327. Jamaica Banana Board, Green Gold, Life Health and the Environment.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. We are looking at this Jamaica becoming increasingly lawless, and our guests are Bishop Conrad Pitkin, Custos of St. James, Senior Pastor of Faith Temple Assembly of God, Richard Dickie Crawford, social and political commentator, and Carlos Gray, social commentator, vlogger, Jamaican living in the United States of America, and also musical artist. Just before the break, Mr. Crawford, you're making some very valid points. Please continue, sir. And then we are going to look at how can we correct the problem of lawlessness. Mr. Crawford?
It's very deep, and I really do appreciate. I really am sitting here and listening to all three of you, and I myself am so confirmed and moved by what you're saying. All what you're saying is absolutely correct. And what has happened? Let's look at it easily, stage by stage. At first, in Jamaica and elsewhere, the people would say to us that God said the best thing to do is to be a good slave. Then we fought against that. And give us some credit. I mean, in the days of your grandparents and my grandparents, I can recall all of these things. Then Marley, Bob Marley, Burning Spear, Peter Tosh. That was music. But that music was calling for freedom from that colonial network. And Jamaica was a different country, driven by those values and attitudes. Even if a majority of the people in the country never really liked or thought Rastafari was of any great value. But now we are seeing those values when you counterpose it now with Hollywood and the video games and what is going through people and creating a new type of society. When I listen to the way workers are treated in one of the biggest companies in the world.
I know which one you're talking about, Mr. Crawford.
Yes. I ask myself, where are we going? Where are we coming from? Where are we going? We're heading towards
how they say they are being treated.
Monster society. And that's what's happening in Jamaica.
Yes.
How do you tell me, how can you possibly tell me that a man walked into a church in the morning and shot his relative in the church? How can you tell me that a father shot his son in Papine? Good God, what are we talking about here? The country's gone mad. And that madness is because the people, a powerless majority, have had to fight against this system to survive. And in order to survive, for the few, the easier way, and I think one of our guests said the same thing this morning, this is no longer how fast you can run 100 meters or 200 meters, but how many people you can kill within a particular point in time. And for promotion in the gang, you have to be a real bloodthirsty person. We live in a country, you're going to tell me, and I'm going to still not believe it, that prisoners who are locked up in a prison with a telephone can instruct for the murder of somebody outside of society, outside of that prison. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Absolutely unbelievable. The mafia was bad in those days, in the 1920s and those times. But boy, this has surpassed the mafia. And consequently, there is just no way that the magnitude of this corruption, the magnitude of this political division, the magnitude of the desire for wealth and riches at all costs, because that's what's helping to drive Jamaica crazy too. And let's not forget, it's not just Jamaica and small countries. The example comes from the United States of America. This is supposed to be the world's most powerful country, where they kill people like flies and dogs every night too over there. Why? It's the value system, as you're rightly saying. It is what makes society tick. It is what we have to determine here and now. I don't know, quite frankly, Stokeley and friends, I don't know how much longer Jamaica is going to proceed on this basis, because I see it in people's faces. The discussion is there. It's a hustle. It is, but if you don't hustle and if you don't fight against the system, if you don't steal, you wouldn't do. I remember the famous story of a friend of mine who went to stop at a stop sign. She was driving and the door just opened on the other side, and a man came into the car and put the gun at her head. But when they both looked at each other, she knew him very well, and she used to counsel him in the community. And he broke down and cried. But obviously said, boy, sister, I'm really sorry it's you, but boy, I picked them at home, don't have nothing to eat. So let us understand that there are causes that give effects, cause and effect. Jamaica is joking around the place. And the worst part of all of this, to show you the sickness in this country, everything of value that we own that's ours, we're either giving it away or renting it out to some foreigner. When the police officer in charge of narcotics made a statement, clearly you relate it back, and he says, oh, there's no control of them, we can't control them. Do you know that our 2 international airports are managed by a foreign country? No. Tell me about that. How then? And we're so tippy-toe. Anything foreign is acceptable in Jamaica. Sad statement still. How on earth can we take our great prize resources and give it to other people to make money off of it? Then what happens to the people? They kill each other because their children are hungry. That's how sad the situation is.
So, in a nutshell, Mr. Crawford, this is a multifaceted problem. But as your speakers are saying, yes, it's a multifaceted. With a singular solution, the country has to be sterilized and cleaned out. Who's to go to prison has to go to prison. And that's not happening either in Jamaica. The people have no respect for law and order. Why would they have any respect for law and order? All you do is turn up in court and shot some damn rubbish and you're freed and gone on the street again. It's crazy what's going on here. That's why we are in the pickle that we are in. Mr. Crawford, that is more than a mouthful, but I appreciate all your sentiments, sir. Mr. Gray, and then close out with Bishop Pitkin. how can we correct the problem of lawlessness? You've just heard what Mr. Crawford says needs to be done to correct that problem. What are your thoughts, Mr. Gray? I think we have lost Mr. Gray. Bishop Pitkin? I hope we haven't lost Bishop Pitkin as well. There's one thing I wanted to raise, but
sorry,
maybe.
I'm here. I just kept my mic muted, and Mr. Gray's mic is also muted. He needs to unmute his mic.
Okay, Mr. Gray, is your mic unmuted now, Mr. Gray? Mr. Gray? Okay, Bishop Pitkin, how can we correct the problem of lawlessness? We have heard Mr. Crawford's thoughts.
Powerful statement from Mr. Crawford. One, deal with the cause of the problem. Go right to the cause. Deal with, address corruption. Deal with values. Return to proper parenting. Deal with the seemingly hypocritical behavior that we have in this country. That must be addressed some way or the other. The church is doing a lot, but there is more that the church can do outside of the four walls of our worship centers, and working together, understanding the root cause of what is happening, and stop addressing the symptoms that we have. Do more action and less talking. There is no respect for life in Jamaica, and no one can deny that. How can we begin to teach our young people to respect the sanctity of life? Wherever corruption is, call it out for what it is, regardless of who and regardless of where. But until we can address those things, and hear me clearly, we still have to Jamaica. And whether we want to accept it or not, it is there. And we need to address it. We need to address the two Jamaica that we have. All right.
And even much of the violence, Bishop, if I could interject this, even much of the violence is consigned to the communities that are more under-resourced. Communities that have more resources tend not to have these murders and killings in open broad daylight, for example.
Yeah. And have more opportunities also. Yeah. Dickie came from way back in the 70s, where I am coming from too. I'm not sure Carlos knows much about the 70s, but we were saying way back then that unless we address the issues that were facing the young men in those days, we were going to have reap the results afterwards. Young men in certain communities could not get a job in certain places in Jamaica, and it even runs now, unless they give another address.
Yeah.
Either when they walk in and the address is looked at, oh, the job was just filled a while ago, we are sorry. Right? And that young man knew that was not true. And from the 70s, we were saying that unless we address these anomalies in our society, we were going to reap the whirlwind afterwards. And that's where we are today.
Bishop, only because of time, we're not going to ask you for another comment. Mr. Gray, is your microphone now unmuted?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sorry for that technical issue. But
So do I have time? Hey, I don't have time to say the amount of thing I want to say, man. First, the solution start from in the home. Have to start from in the home. We have to kick back all the solution to the parents again. The government don't have the resources and the money to chasing around all these youngsters around the country who give in trouble, looking for problems. We don't have the money for that. So we need to give the parent the responsibility again to deal with the kids. How we deal with that? Government need to change laws, put laws in place to force kids. You cannot in your bed and you know where 14-year-old kids are. You know what a child is. A police grab a look a 14-year-old child down the road. You better know where your child was. And on top of that, or you enforce that, you cannot force people who have a bad child, who have beat them up and cuss them out and them can't rule, and the government don't help them. Government have to spend money. Government must spend money. Walk around Jamaica, all the community center closed down and cover eat grass on the ball field. That is nonsense. It's a clear indication that no money and investment has been spent on the youth. The youth, you could try to drive away from the youth till you can't drive faster more. When they look through a rearview mirror, you're going to see the kids in the rearview mirror breathing their neck back. The youth's our future. There's no dollar should be too big. We're not spending, we can't spend on the youth. You know,
we had you on a little bit earlier, but there was an issue with the technology. Your microphone was muted, I believe. We may need to bring it back. I want to thank Bishop Pitkin, Richard Crawford, and yourself, Carlos Gray. Thank you, all listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow to speak about our topical and controversial issues. To get copies of the program, call our production department at 876-968-959-627. Download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the family station. This has been The Morning Watch. Thanks to producer Kathy Gale and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Siobhan Press.
You're tuned to Love 101, the family station. It's 2 minutes after 8 o'clock, and it's time for the program Forward in Faith.